Okay, so there is a easy create option. It will follow the AWS standards and best practices. So that way, all the configuration settings will be aligned to AWS requirement. But if you want to customize and create the database based on your options, where you have options to go and choose what level of changes, what level of okay, this is custom option or standard create. So customer can have the standards and they can just decide it. Okay, so we can just start with the easy create option and then see what are the options we get and what are the options we get under the standard create. So when I go for the easy create on the listing here, it shows 7 different options, right? Aurora Postgres compatible, and then MySQL, MariaDB, Postgres, Oracle, and Microsoft SQL. But if I go for standard create, is there a difference? Yeah, looks like there are some 8 different options. So you are getting options to go and choose IBM DB2, as well as you are getting an option for Aurora MySQL and Aurora Postgres. In EC Create, I don't see okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. I think extra option that I get is the IBM DB2. So IBM DB2 is not available under the, because it is IBM product, right? IBM database product. But some customers are requesting for it, and that's the reason they have added it under the standard create category. So there is no best practices and default standard available. So it is not available under the EC create option. So if you want to use IBM DB2, you can also go for the standard create. This is also a commercial category. I can also add this here. Right, these are all community open source product. This one's MySQL, MariaDB, Postgres. Do we have anything more? Yeah, I think these are the ones. So sure, I'm just going with EC create, and then I will create. See, if you're practicing, try to create MySQL or MariaDB. The reason is you get free tier only in this particular options. You won't get free tier in other category. So if I'm going for let's say Oracle, right, it's a licensed product. It's a commercial product. You have option for development and testing and production only. You don't get the free tier. But if I go for MariaDB, I will also get that option for the free tier. So either create MariaDB or MySQL, so that way you can practice without incurring any cost. See, at the end, we want to create database within RDS, and we want to try to connect it from my server or application. So that's the practical we need to be familiar with, right? So MySQL is very popular in a way that it is extensively used in many different application across the globe. So you can definitely go for MySQL if in case your application supports using the MySQL database. And you can also see that the size of the database can be as huge as 64 TB, the terabyte, right? And also it provides you wide variety of options to choose from. You have options for general purpose instance type, memory optimized instance type, and also you have performance bustable instance type. And you also have options for free tier also, and you can also choose for development and test purpose. The costing will be very different, and you can also go for production category in MySQL. So you are seeing all the 3 options here. For production category, they are giving you this much amount of minimum sizing, and for free tier, they are giving you 1 CPU and 2. This is very cheaper in cost, right? And you can also give some name for your database. I will just say stan MySQL DB1, DB01. Okay, the name has to be unique across all database instances. Okay, this is the name for your database instance, not database. This is your database instance. So whenever you are creating um, RDS, you need to be aware of these 2 things. Database is something you can create multiple databases within the database instance, and you can use each database for different application. For example, database one for VMware utility, VMware DB, something like that, and then for some other database two for business app one, and then it can be let's say business app one Okay, so you can have multiple databases within the same database instance. So database instance is a collection of databases. It is not one single database. Within database instance, you can go and collect, you can create multiple databases. So this has to be unique across all the database instances, because you will get a unique name in that region to access it over the public. So you can give it a unique name, and username and password, if you want to change it, you can change it. So by default, it is giving us admin username. So I can use that. And I can also give some password. So they are asking us whether you want to store the credentials in secrets manager, or whether I want to manage and maintain it. So you can choose both of these option. I mean, these days many people are going and storing the credentials in secrets manager, so that they don't have to use any local credentials manager. So you can keep it in secrets manager, or customer can store it in their own local also, if in case they want. So I'm going to give some password. Let me give some password here. Of course, it has to be complex, and if it is weak, so you have to use at least minimum constraint, right? The master password is invalid. Okay, so you have to have follow this particular standard for your credential. It can't contain at. Okay. Okay, so I have not used at now, so I can just confirm this. Fine. I've saved the, I mean, given the password. Now, if I want to connect it from one of my EC2 instance, I can also connect to an EC2 compute instance. So let's say, I'm not sure if I have some EC2 instance. So I will create one. Okay, stan app server one. From this app server, I'm going to connect to that database. Okay, I can use some existing key. I can select an existing security group. I'll go with the default. So this is perfectly fine. Okay, I'm just launching an instance to be used with my database. You can also choose a IAM role, but for now, yeah, let's leave that. I don't have to integrate it with IAM. So I've just created a instance. So once after it is done, I will be able to see that here. I'm going to use this EC2 instance to connect to this database, and then try to manage it. You can also integrate it with the EC2 instance. So from that EC2 instance, you can do all the maintenance and management task from that particular server. So even you can use your own local PC to install that Microsoft client or MySQL client to manage the database. It's not mandatory you should have a EC2 instance. You can also locally have a kind of a client application to manage it directly. So if you want to understand what are the different settings that you get out of the EC create, so these are the things. Encryption is enabled by default, so you cannot change it after the database is created. So these are stuff which we need to be aware of. What is the standards and best practices for Amazon while we are creating using EC create? So they are saying that, so these are all options which you cannot change after the database is created and functional. So you might have to recreate it if in case you want to change it. So for example, encryption, if you are creating it using EC create, by default it will be enabled. You cannot change it later, you cannot disable it later. Similarly, the default VPC will be used for the EC create, but if you want to change it to a different VPC, you have to recreate it for the different network. So a lot of things can be changed. So if you look at here, all these options, the security group could be changed, monitoring can be disabled, maintenance can be changed, delete protection can be enabled and disabled. So backups could be configured, public accessibility can be changed. Okay, so all these stuffs could be changed. You can also change the port number later if you want. They are using the default 3306 port number, but if in case you want to change it later, those are all editable. So only two things, network and the encryption, could not be modified once after the database is created. If you want to have the database on your own network, and if you want to disable the encryption, then you can go and use the standard create option to create the database. Otherwise, rest all stuffs could be changed. You can change the subnet and the security group, monitoring, patching, and all those options could be changed later. So let me create the database. So it is asking which instance. So okay, I can go and select the stan app server 01, create the database. Okay, it is asking whether I want to have some proxy or stuff. Okay, one thing I missed out while creating the database instance, I did not select the proper security group. Maybe it might have created a new security group. See this, it has created a new security group. I should have used the default one, but fine. Okay, I can just go and change it. I can go and edit it. In fact, I can go and configure that security group. It will get created now. Okay, so this is the one, EED. I can go and give the inbound rules. So currently it is allowing 3306 from the same security group. Okay, you can only access if your systems are part of the same security group, but I will allow it from anywhere instead of that same security group because I've created the EC2 instance in a different. I've created it in a different security group. So if I've created in the same security group, then it is easier to allow the connections. Okay, now I have allowed it. So let it create. So similarly, like there are other options that you can understand while you are creating the RDS databases. So you can create as many databases for your practice. So let's say I want to create one more. Okay, so I'll go with standard create option this time. So this time I will create something different, MariaDB. See the difference between MariaDB and MySQL. Let me copy this and then I'll show you the difference here. Okay, so if you compare it with this one, the MySQL one, see MySQL is also one of the popular database, and if you look at the sizing, it also supports 64 terabyte, and also it has got almost similar instance sizes, and also it supports automatic backup. So MariaDB has got a couple of more extra things: global transaction ID, and then thread pooling, and also it has got the MariaDB open source community support is also available for MariaDB. That is the two additional advantages if you're comparing it with MySQL. So these are the two extra options. So which means like MariaDB is much better because it has all the same features as that of the MySQL. Plus it also has the open source community support from the MariaDB team. Plus it supports global transaction ID and thread pooling option. So let us compare it with the other option. Let's say PostgreSQL, right? So this is also open source. We'll compare the open source first because the commercial will definitely have different benefits. So if I look at this option, okay, high reliability is there, stability is there, advanced features to perform high volume environment. So these are all couple of extra terms that I have mentioned. So it is open source community that releases new features multiple years, multiple times per year. So you get very frequent updates. So that is the message that they are conveying here for your PostgreSQL. So one way it is good, one way it is bad because we have to keep updating the system, and you have multiple extensions that helps you to connect. And 15 read replica is common across all these things. 15 read replica here also it's there, and it also supports this thing. So it is also okay. This is another important thing in on-premises data center. If you have Oracle, and then if you want to migrate it to cloud, AWS cloud, then the best option is to migrate it to PostgreSQL. So you cannot migrate it to MySQL or MariaDB. So that is another beautiful benefit when you go for PostgreSQL. PostgreSQL is compatible with Oracle. So if you want to save cost and if you want to use the same database on the cloud AWS platform, then go for PostgreSQL because PostgreSQL is compatible with Oracle existing databases. So there are some additional benefits that you get: the frequent updates, the feature updates, and then the multiple extensions native to PostgreSQL. But this is one of the most reliable, stable database. If you ask me like which is the best option out of these three, I would go for PostgreSQL because of the stability and the updates that you get from the database, and also the data that it stores is it maintains the correctness. So the asset property or the property is very good on the PostgreSQL. But the remaining option you know, right? See, now comes the question. So why Amazon is providing Aurora database which are compatible to these two options, right? The PostgreSQL compatible one and the MySQL compatible one. So if you want to understand that, if you go to Amazon Aurora PostgreSQL, you can see that they have fine-tuned that particular option. So let's say when I say fine-tuned, you can see it has support for 128 terabyte. It has got much more speed, or sorry, much more capacity, number one. And then it has got much more throughput and speed. So they are saying the Amazon Aurora PostgreSQL compatible edition is 3 times faster than the PostgreSQL. So the performance that you can get out of the regular PostgreSQL is 3 times lower than the Amazon compatible version. So this is Amazon Aurora Postgre compatible thing, right? If you're going for Amazon Aurora option, it is 3 times faster. It is also giving you multiple copies, six-way replication across 3 different data centers. So you, even if one physical data center or two physical data center goes down, your data will still be accessible because of the high availability and the replication, right? And the remaining things, it is the same, right? The 15 read replica, but the latency is very, very less. They are guaranteeing you that the replica lag will be just only under 10 millisecond. And also you get automatic failover monitoring and so on. So that way, they are giving you additional benefits on top of the existing regular Postgre database. So all these options are available. On top of that, Amazon team has fine-tuned the Postgre database to give you better performance, latency, capacity. So they have fine-tuned the database with additional features and functions. So is there a question? I see someone.
Yeah, understand. When you say 15 read replicas,
Mhm.
is that by default and how is
No, no,
that?
you can enable it. You can configure how many read replicas you want. See, for example, if you have,
That's a
let's say,
limitation, is it?
yeah, we have
Okay.
to configure it. See, if you, let's say you are working for let's say a US headquartered company. Okay, maybe they have
Mhm.
a database where they go and update all the policies and HR related stuff. And there are some other countries, like let's say 15 different global location where you want to keep the database copy, but you don't want the database copies in other locations to be editable. You just want those to be read from the local business application. So that way the access is faster and the latency is quick. You can configure up to 15 read replicas to quickly replicate and get the data accessible locally from those regions. So it is something which we can decide and configure. Okay,
Got it.
so yeah, any other question from anyone? Okay, so here what we were trying to create. Okay, not the Aurora one. Aurora doesn't have the free tier, so don't create it. So because it provides you only the development, test, and production category option. So we were planning to create the see, even if you go for MySQL, there will also be some classes. They are saying it is 5 times faster the throughput, and then here also they give you a six-way replication. So Amazon Aurora MySQL, it is 5 times faster than the regular MySQL edition within the same Amazon RDS offering. So that's the way they have fine-tuned it. So here, compared to this Amazon RDS MySQL, Aurora MySQL is 5 times better throughput. Remaining like, yeah, you are getting the same additional benefits like the 128 TB auto scaling storage. See, you don't have to pay for the complete size or whatever based on the consumption you are going to pay for it. That is another important thing that you have to note. They are giving you auto scaling on the storage. So based on the usage, it will keep on growing and you have to just pay for the capacity that you have consumed, and it can grow up to 128 terabyte is what they are conveying. So here you can only grow up to 64 terabyte, and that too it is pre-configured. Here Amazon Aurora, they are providing you auto scaling. At the end they are trying to lock in into their offering. Okay, so if you feel that's the best option, if you are migrating from on-premises Oracle, you can go to Amazon Aurora PostgreSQL, which is much cheaper, much faster, much better throughput, latency, replication options, high availability is better, and so on. So if you want to go for commercial option, yeah, you have options here. You have RDS and RDS custom. You can also go for the express edition or standard edition or web edition based on the application sizing requirement or the criticality of the application. If it is mission critical, of course you will go for the enterprise edition. If it is a normal one, you can go for standard or web edition. If it is a very small application, you can go for the express edition, which is very less in cost. The free edition is also giving you free tier option. So you can also go and use Microsoft SQL under free tier with SQL Server Express Edition, which is very cheaper in cost. If in case you want to practice Microsoft SQL Express Edition. So here let's create MariaDB. So that way we have two different databases to play around. So I'll go with standard create option this time. So I'll go with the latest version. I'll go with the free tier option here. So I can give this some name, Stan MariaDB 01. The admin is the username. So I will go with my password. Okay. I've given some password. So you can also select which instance type you want, whether you want the previous generation or the T2 micro or T3 micro. So whichever generation you want, you can choose it. Since I've chosen the free tier, this is the free tier option. So if I'm choosing the development and test or production, it will give you all the different instance type to choose. Since I've chosen free tier, it is automatically choosing the D4 thing. And also on the hard disk also, you can go and choose which category you want, whether you want general purpose store, solid state drive, or provisioned, or the older HDD option also is there. If you want to reduce the cost, you can go and reduce it. So here they are giving a size up to 6144 GB for your test instance. You can allocate the storage here. Auto scaling option is at the bottom here. If you want to enable auto scaling and then grow up to this much, you can also configure it, but I'm not going to enable auto scaling. So in production, yeah, you can enable auto scaling and it automatically grows as per the demand. Here also you can go and create multi-AZ if in case you want to have high availability and durability. And if I want this EC to be, if I want this database to be connected from an EC2 instance, I can also choose the same way. I can go and choose the same app server to be able to access this database. And then if I want to create a subnet, I can also choose some existing subnet, or if I want to use the default one, I can use the default one. Okay, so public access, RDS assigns a public IP address. Okay. Okay, so if you want to access it from your home location, you can go and change the subnet and VPC. So that way you can allow it from the internet. So security group, I will choose the existing one. Maybe I'll go with the default, or I can also use the RDS EC2 one. So additional configuration, the port number can be changed. The default port is 3306. If I want to change it, I can also change that default port. If I want to integrate with IAM, and if I want use IAM users to log in, I can also do that. And here is where you can go and create one more database. So as I told you, database instance is a collection of database. You can create as many number of databases. I'll show you how to create more databases. I will say this is Stan MariaDB database 01. So this is something I'm creating now along with the MariaDB database creation. So I can also show you this later. You can also create more databases if in case you want. So I will just, I don't want to enable backup. I don't want to enable encryption for now. If I want to enable the logging, I can also go and enable the logging in S3 bucket. I can store it. And if I want to allow minor version upgrade, I can also do it. So when I say minor version, see within this number, you can see 10.11.1, 10.11.2, and so on, right? So the first number is the major version, and the second one is the minor version, and the third one is the patch version. So there are three different numbering. So if I want to allow auto minor version upgrade, automatically they will upgrade it. See, that is not going to bring a big problem. See, there will be three numbers, 10.11.10 or 1 or 2, something like that. And what we are saying is the 10 is the major version, 11 is the minor version, and 1 is the patch version. So the major version upgrade has to be done by the customer, because they only know whether their application supports version 11 or not. And the minor version, like from 11 to 12, 10.11 to 10.12, that could be upgraded automatically, because they are not going to modify any features, or they are not going to bring a lot of enhancements, or there will not be any feature change as such. Okay, so that way your application will not get impacted. So we are saying that we can allow for minor version upgrade or patch version upgrade. So these two could be automatically upgraded by Amazon team without your intervention. But if you want, if the major version has to be upgraded, it has to be done by the customer. So we have to create a newer version of database with version 11, and then we have to move the database using the database migration service, which is pretty straightforward and easy to configure. So you can also enable auto minor version upgrade if in case you are specifying a maintenance window. During that maintenance window, it will automatically get upgraded. Okay, let me create this, and then you can also enable deletion protection. So if in case you don't want the database to be accidentally deleted, because most of the people are working from home, and they might have some bad network, and if you don't want accidental deletion of these databases, you can also enable the termination protection or deletion protection. So that way you get better option. So you can go and create the database. So let it get created. I will show you how you could connect to this once after it is created. So while this is getting created, it will take at least a couple of minutes. So of course, it provides you more options to integrate with in-memory caching and proxy services. So you can skip it for now. I will go to the slide to explain some of the advantages and benefits. So advantages, of course, you are going to get managed database, which is of course comparatively cheaper in price. You are also getting high availability, where you have option to create the database in multiple data centers and configure 6-way replication, and it is multi-AC, and it is a kind of clustering concept, and you don't have to really worry about how the backend connectivity works, how the backend redundancy works, replication works. You get access to your database instance, and your data is accessible by the application. That is the thing that you will generally expect. So high availability is designed by default. You get multiple availability zone level redundancy, and you can also have your own credentials management, or you can also store it in the secrets manager, and you can also auto generate it. And you have option to go and choose the instance type you want, whether you want memory optimized or standard or production critical category. You can go and choose the instance type you want. You also get the free tier. If in case you want to practice, you can do it. And you also get storage auto scaling. That is one of the best option I've seen. Like you just have to pay for the consumption of the data, and you have to specify a small minimum size, and it will automatically, you can mention how much maximum it can grow up to. The storage auto scaling will increase the capacity automatically once it reaches a specific threshold. So scalability is like enormous. Storage auto scaling is one of the good feature, and you also have option to go and configure your own network, right? You have option to go and select your own security group. You have option to go and select your own subnet. So even you can allow the traffic to happen through VPN or endpoint. So that way it is very easy to configure. A lot of options are available at the networking level. You can also customize the database port. If you don't want the default 3306 and if you want to use something else, you can also use it. And they are also providing you options for automated backup on a regular basis. So if you want to achieve some specific RPO or TO, so there is a lot of options available. By default, the retention is 7 days, and if you want to store it for 35 days or more, you can also configure for the number of days where you want to configure and store it. So based on the retention requirement, you can configure the backup, and you can also do the automatic minor version upgrade, automatic patch version upgrade. So if you just need to mention the maintenance window, what time Amazon can patch and complete that activity. So if you mention that maintenance window, automatically the patching and upgrade will take place. So a lot of monitoring, lot of metrics will be visible for you. I'll show you how, what are the different metrics that are available. And you have a lot of integration with different services. You can integrate with IIM, you can integrate with the AWS EC2 instances. So a lot of integration options are available. Even it has got integration with CloudTrail, CloudWatch, and for monitoring, for logging, and for patching. You have a lot of different interfaces through which you can manage. The main thing is it is fully managed service. So underlying patching of the OS, database version upgrade, the OS version changes, the OS patching, the complete backup, all these things are readily available as a managed service for you. And on top of that, they are providing you wide variety of ranges, right? You can choose whatever is the best fit for you, because they give you a lot of options here. And you also have to worry less about your administration, because they are taking care of the managed services. For when I say managed services, again, it represents the same thing: monitoring, logging, observability, patching, backup. So these are what the regular thing that as a team we will do, right? These are the management activity we will do. So all these management activities fully controlled and taken care by the AWS team. So you get everything as a service, database as a service, and you are just paying for the consumption of your database and then storage capacity. So any questions on what we have discussed so far? This is a platform as a service, right? This is database as a service, and they are providing you as a serverless option. You just have to connect to the database and utilize it. So let me go to this thing. So you can see it is available. Go ahead. Any question?
And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
see, this concept wise, like there
Mm-hmm,
are so many multiple
mm-hmm,
database options and cost effective scalability. All this is fine, but we get certain questions. I'm just relating to the certification point of view.
mm-hmm,
So, is there some keywords we can say? Example, when we say serverless
mm-hmm,
and for any normal operation of job, pad job and all things, we choose the service Lambda, for example.
mm-hmm,
So, for less time occupancy, those type
mm-hmm,
of things. So, likewise, in the database, can you give some
mm-hmm.
keywords
Sure, sure.
like?
Yeah, yeah, understood. Let me do that. Okay, I will just show you the demo quickly, and then I will explain the keywords. Okay, so that you can quickly get that. Yeah, I'll do it
Thank
right away. Yeah. So this is something which I will log in, and I have to install the client. Okay, so log into this one. So which one we are planning to connect? Yeah, MariaDB, right? I will install the MariaDB client. Even you can install. Okay, let me just first connect to it. So connect to this instance. Okay, so I'm going to install the MariaDB. So of course you can just install the client if you, in case you want. I don't know the exact name, so I just went with MariaDB star. Okay, so MariaDB connector, MariaDB common. It adds a lot of additional packages. But fine. We'll give it a couple of minutes and then we'll enable the service to get started automatically, and we'll also start the service. So while this is going on, I will start explaining the terms and stuff that we are looking for. See, by default, you are getting 6 replicas created. And when I say 6 replicas, there are multiple AZ data center where the databases are stored. 6 copies are getting stored. And then these are all stored in 3 availability zone. And there is a 6-way replication that is happening by default for your databases. I'm not talking about the read replica. This is the read write replica for your high availability and so on. There are 15 read replicas that gets created. You can just have it in global locations, not just in the region, not just in the same region. It can be across the region and you can have it. So there is a option to go and configure the reader node and so on. So these replications are peer-to-peer replication concept. Okay, it is kind of synchronous and it happens very quickly. Okay, so it is like all 6 replicas are replicated and you will get it, and you get options for serverless. So this is where you get storage as a service. Sorry, not storage. It's database as a service. Okay, so what we are telling is like server is being managed by AWS, the Amazon team. So when I say server, the EC2 instance, the DB instance, the database, this is managed by the Amazon team. So here database is given as a service for us. And they are also giving you little more additional benefits like the self-healing or automatic healing. So that is all enabled by default. And you also get storage auto scaling. That is the best feature that I would say, where you get the storage increased. You have to mention what is the minimum starting size and then what is the max size, because sometimes if there are some issues going on, the logs might accumulate and then you might end up paying a lot of money. So you can just be careful and vigilant. So that way it is there. And there are a lot of better options like automatic backups could be configured, and then on a particular schedule you can configure the retention period, and here also you can configure automatic upgrade of the minor versions or the patch versions could be done. But for that you need to provide the maintenance window when AWS could do that. And you can also if you ask me like whether it is compliant, yeah, it is compliant with HIPAA, PCI, and then ISO, SOC, almost like many compliance accreditations are already there. So encryption by default it is encrypted, but if you want to disable it, you can disable it. And if you want to store the credentials in secrets manager, you can also store it in secrets manager, or you can have your own tool to store the thing. And if you want to take snapshots, you can also take the snapshot. That options are also there before making any changes or modification. If you want to regularly take some point in time backup, that feature is also there. And you also get default monitoring. There is a lot of metrics that are available. Okay, and you can also go and configure custom metrics based on the requirement. There is an option for looking at the performance as well in the console. So all these things you can see it here. So it is installed, right? So if you go to this on the left, you can see there is an option to go and create a snapshot, take a snapshot before doing activity, and you can also take a backup. You can also export it in Amazon S3 and download it as an object. You can also go and look at what is happening on each of your database. You can select the database instance and then start looking at the metrics. It will take some time to show, but you have to turn on that. This is additional cost. It is not coming by default. And you can also go and look at the list of databases that are getting created. So this is the one which we are doing it, and they're also providing you reservation option. So if you are going to run it for a longer duration, 1 year or 3 years in time, so you get a lot of cost benefit by going for reservation. So the automatic failover automatically happens behind the scene. The high availability, the clustering is completely taken care by AWS team. So you just have to specify what edition you want and what are the features you want while you are creating the database. So coming back to the demo, so I have installed the um, MariaDB engine. And then now I'm going to enable that. This is the client I'm talking about, okay, not the server. Server is on the RDS. Okay, I've just started it. Now I'm going to connect to the user. So command is mysql -h, the endpoint. Endpoint is what we have given here. So while creating, we gave some endpoint, right? So you can scroll down. This is the endpoint which you have to copy, and this is the port number. So endpoint is the server name, okay, the database instance name. So database instance, I've given this name, stan MariaDB01, and the DNS suffix is the default suffix that they use. You can also use DNS to configure whatever stuff you want. And for port number, I'm using the default 3306. And for the username, it is admin. And for the password, I can enter it by giving enter. You can also enter it there only. Okay, see, I'm able to connect it now to the MariaDB, and here I can just say show databases, and I can see the stan mddb01 database which I created on the particular database. So during the demo, I gave that name, right? So to verify that, I can just go and show you that. Somewhere I showed it. Interesting. So I thought I stored it. Fine. So yeah, this is the name, stan mddb01. That is the database I've created. So if you want to create more database, you can just create database, and then I can just say stan mddb02, and I can keep creating. Okay, so now if I show the database, I can see that there are many databases. So you can use this for one application, this one for another application, and you can keep creating the databases. And see, these are all default databases. If you have worked on Microsoft SQL, you might have seen similar things there, right? So TempDB, and there will be a default master DB and so on. So the very much similar to that, you have this. And if you are familiar with SQL commands, SQL statements, you can go and create table. You can connect to one of the database, like you can use one of the database here, let's say MDDB01, and then you can start creating the table. So you know the command, right? You can use create table command, update table, insert table, and then alter the table, alter the database. So there are a lot of SQL statements and SQL commands that are available, which if you are familiar with that, you can use it. So this is how you can easily create an RDS instance and connect to it and start uh, using it for your business application. So you can also change something, or if you want to fine tune it, you can do it here. So let me show you what is happening now on the monitoring screen. You will see a lot of metrics. There are around 25 metrics that are available by default, and you can also go up to 36 metrics if I'm not wrong. So which is something you can do it. And if you want to add multiple instances to compare, also you can do it in parallel. That option is available in RDS. So if you want to change the interval of the monitoring data, you can go up to 1 second granularity. That option is there. By default, it provides you 5 minute granularity. If you want to change it, you can change it. And you can also go and watch this in the CloudWatch console. If you want to go and enable enhanced monitoring, or if you want to understand which processes are highly consuming, you can go and turn on the performance insight. So that way you will get more detailed information. So here, um, on the connectivity and security screen, you have very basic option, like you will get the endpoint name, port number, you will get the network and subnet details, and you can also go and change certain specific aspects. So which are the EC2 instances you want to connect. If you want to add additional EC2 instance, you can set up that. If you want to connect to this database from Lambda function, you can also set up that. So there are two options. So you can manage this database either from a EC2, or if you want to do some automation from the Lambda function, you can also connect that Lambda function, and you can can execute some automation task or cleanup task. A lot of organizations are doing it. So if they want to do some normalization or defragmentation, or if they want to fine tune the database, they create something on the Lambda function, and then they will do such automation, and they will connect the Lambda function from here. So if you want to connect the EC2 instances or Lambda function, you have the option to do it. So if you want to connect some proxy server to the database, you can also do it. And if you want to add any additional security group, you can also do it, customize it. If you want to configure the replication, you can also configure it here. Currently, it has got this default. And let me scroll up. There is an edit option here. You can go and modify it, or if you want to stop the database temporarily, or if you want to reboot the database, or if you want to delete the database, or if you want to take a snapshot. So there are a lot of options available. Since this is a free tier, you cannot create a read replica. So earlier Manju was asking a question, right? So about creating read replicas, this is something you have to create it. So it will not be created by default, but the replicas are different. Read replicas are different. Read replicas are something you are going to create in the global locations for the local business application to get benefited. Replication is that something which in the region they will have six different copies and six-way replication that is synchronous within the region. So if you want to create a read replica, then you can go and create the production category or the dev test category where you will get that option. You can also promote it. You can also take a snapshot. You can also copy the snapshot. You can roll back. You can also create a elastic caching cluster for this particular database. So a lot of options are available. If you want to convert it to a multi-AZ deployment, automatically this will become a production category. So currently it is free tier. So we have created it as a free tier option. So it doesn't have the clustering. But if you want to have a multi-AZ environment, you can go and change it. So here you can go and reset the password. If you want to auto generate the password, you can also do that. And if you want to change the instance type, you can change it. And if you want to configure the auto scaling, you can do it. And if you want to create a standby instance for production category, you can also go and change it to a standby instance also could be created. You can do a lot of different things. You can also go and enable enhanced monitoring. If you want to get the detailed amount of processes, threads per CPU at that level, you can also go and enable that detailed monitoring, but there is an additional cost for that. So the default monitoring is free of cost, but if you want to go for advanced monitoring, then you can go and enable it. So that way you will get to see the um, default thread, I mean the different processes, different thread on the system. Okay, there are a lot of options which you can go and change, like enabling the backup, enabling the retention, uh, maintenance. So it looks like the backup is automatically enabled. We have no options to do it, but I have not stored it, so that way it is not going to occupy a lot of storage. So you can go and change all these options at a later time also. There are options to do that, but I'm not going to change anything. So you can also store it in S3, and if you want to restore it, you can also restore it from S3. And monitoring, as I told you, if you go and enable advanced monitoring, it will go and enable it. So you have the option to modify it here. So it gives you performance insights, and more metrics could be enabled, but those are all additional charges. By default, you are getting up to 25 metrics. That itself is going to give you a lot of information around the CPU usage, the database, number of connections. So I just connected from only one server, right? So that is the reason it is showing one connection. So if I'm connecting more, it will show the number of connections from different systems and different users. So it is also showing how much memory, the disk level usage on the EBS storage. So even though it is completely managed and maintained by AWS team, they are giving you the option to go and understand what is the capacity usage on the storage level, EBS level, network level. So a lot of information is already available. But if in case you need process level, thread level information, you can go and enable the performance insight and the additional CloudWatch metrics, which is enhanced monitoring, and you have to pay for that extra. And all the logs and information, as I told you, you can enable it if you want to look at the audit log or event log. So there are certain information that you can automatically see it from here. So you can also download it. If I want to download the error log to my local machine and understand what is happening, or if there is an error going on, I can also click on watch and it will show me what are the errors, and troubleshooting could be done. So it is very, very easy. Even though you don't have access to log into the server, the var log messages, the error.log and the access.log, the audit log, all these information are available in under the logs category. So even if you want to do some troubleshooting, the logs category could be easily looked upon here. And yeah, so it shows like when we restarted, when we created all those things, and you can go and change the configuration if in case you want. If you want to change the engine version, or if you want to increase the sizing and all those stuff, you can do it here. And you can configure the maintenance. You can add any additional metadata tagging if in case you want to mention the environment and business owner or application owner, whom to contact, and all those things could be added. And AWS also provides you recommendations here, what you could do to optimize the cost, optimize the performance, optimize the availability, scalability, and so on. They provide you recommendations, and based on that, you can also take actions. So yeah, this is what I thought of covering. Okay, for RDS, we have completely covered the end-to-end, and also we saw some demo on how to create and access it from within a server. You can also connect it from your application, and if you know SQL, you can also play around by creating some more tables, users, and so on. Okay, on the database. So any questions from anyone? I'll be here for 2 more minutes. If you have questions, please stay back, or else thank you for joining. We will catch up tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well,